And welcome everybody to season finale here at Bengal Gem and Friends, talking football with Bengal Gem and Friends, guys. Our 41st episode, the 40th anniversary of that special 1981 season here today. So right off the bat, you don't see Jamie, Tom, or James on the screen with me. So they will be on here to finish the evening out with us and close. Okay. So with 8 special guests this evening, there's only limited spots available for everybody. So they will be on here to close a lot of stuff at the end of the show to kind of talk about here, guys. But very excited about it. Again, I want to send a shout out to our friends from the Facebook group, Houday Nation. I know they're watching the stream live on Facebook, and there's hundreds and hundreds of Bengals fans from across the country and across the world right now watching on their watch party they have set up for the show this evening. So pretty damn excited about this evening, guys. So when I woke up this morning, I had my coffee in my Super Bowl 16 cup while I read the Super Bowl 16 game day program and the Freezer Bowl program. And at lunch, I made the kids drink, as they're eating their peanut butter and jelly sandwich, drink their juice out of the Reggie Williams, Dan Ross, and Ken Anderson cups. And then while the kids were doing that in the afternoon, took a nap. I drank my Houday beer. And this evening, for my boy Pete Johnson's going to be here, I got my crown. So very special evening tonight, guys. I know Kenny's going to probably have his Keystone light going. Pete might have some his crown going here, but a very special evening tonight, guys. So a lot of people here. Reminder, as you're watching, make sure you type any questions, any comments you can in here in our chat area here. This 1981 season, you're going to fall in one of two categories, guys. You're going to fall into the older guy category like myself, where you were around as a young guy back then and got to experience that 1981 season, how special that was in this city. Never seen anything like it. In the 88, 89 Super Bowl season the same way. Reds can win World Series and other things can happen well in the city, but if you've never experienced the city of Cincinnati during a playoff run and a Super Bowl run, there's nothing like it. I've never experienced anything like it. So you guys will get to experience, if you were around that time, you get to relive the stories from our 8 guests tonight. And if you weren't around, you're going to learn a lot of stuff about a lot of legends. There were 5 Pro Bowlers that year and the 81 team. All 5 of those guys will be on screen here with us tonight, or at least they're scheduled to be on screen here tonight. I know we had some connection issues going here a little bit earlier as some of the players were testing out their connections. So let's do just a brief introduction. We're going to bring these guys on, and I want to talk about that 81 Super Bowl season before we bring everybody on here. So understand, we have tonight the 81 MVP Ken Anderson on with us tonight, 81 Rookie of the Year Cris Collinsworth, Hall of Famer Anthony Munoz, 81 Pro Bowler Pat McInally will be here with us. The 81 sack leader Reggie Williams will be here with us. The stud offensive lineman Dave Lapham is supposed to be here, and part of that web defense Gary Burley will be on with us tonight. And the 81 touchdown leader for the Cincinnati Bengals, Pete Johnson, will be on the show as well this evening. So let's go through before we bring everybody on. We're going to bring them all up at once here when we bring them on. But let's talk about that 81 season, 1981 season. That season, that spring, they announced new uniform combinations. We're going to show a brief video clip with Reggie Williams and Glenn Bujnock here in a minute. But that was second-year head coach Forrest Gregg here, and they went 12-4. The AFC Central champs, AFC Conference champs. It's the Freezer Bowl. There's going to be conversations about that this evening. And the first playoff win in Cincinnati history against the Buffalo Bills right here in Cincinnati. Remember it like it was yesterday. And Super Bowl 16, obviously, what a great run and a great game. The second half was a great second half there. And then from 80 to 81, in 80, they were the Bengals were second to last in scoring in the NFL. In 1981, they wound up being the third highest scoring team in the NFL in 81, that 81 season. They had the fewest turnovers in the NFL with 24 turnovers. Pete Johnson breaks a team record that year, rushing record, going over 1,000 yards. Cris Collinsworth, Rookie of the Year, leads the Bengals in receiving yards, over 1,000 yards, and MVP of the year, Ken Anderson. Defense, great defense that year. Ken Riley, the legend Ken Riley, should be Hall of Fame Ken Riley, led the team with 5 interceptions, but right behind him in those interceptions was Louis Breeden and our guy tonight, Reggie Williams, who had 4 as a linebacker. And Reggie also led the team in sacks that year. That defense, guys, just understand how good that defense was. We like talking about offense, right? That's who I am. But just understand how good that defense was that year in 81. They forced a turnover in every single game with the exception of 1 that year. That's impressive, man. That was a really good defense that year. Munoz was in his second season, a young, Afro Anthony Munoz, second year. That was going to be his first of what would be a Bengals record 11 Pro Bowls. That was his first of 11 Pro Bowls there. Outstanding linebacking core. We talked about Reggie, Jim LeClaire, Glenn Cameron, Bo Harris. All 4 of those guys, including Reggie Williams, finished 1 through 4 on the team in tackles. Ken Riley was in his 13th of his 15th season. We talked about all the 5 Pro Bowlers, all going to be on the screen here with us tonight. Paul Brown was named Executive of the Year. And that was the year that this city went absolute crazy with Bengal Mania, guys. And I just wish and I hope someday you can experience this if you weren't around during that 81 or that 88 season. There's nothing like it. I've never seen anything like it in this city. That was the birth of Houday. That was the birth of the jungle. It was an absolute awesome year, and I'm so excited to have these guys. And I keep telling, James and Jamie and Tom that I hope I don't go fanboy tonight on you guys too bad, but I'm really excited to have these guys here for sure. So a couple other quick updates. We talked about Troy Richards. Now, I know he was in the hospital and he got off the ventilator, and he's doing really well now. He's doing extremely well. So he's really on a good path forward getting out of that hospital. I know we sent videos to him. The Bengals, actually, CJ Uzama sent a video to him kind of wishing him well to get better. So, Troy, get better, buddy. We love you, and everybody out here is thinking about you, okay? Our prayers are with you, and we're thinking about you. And as we pull everybody on here in a minute, I just want to provide some clarity to everybody. We will do our best to get questions on the screen and people so they can answer questions, because we're going to have 8 people on the screen, 8 players on the screen, okay? So it's it's going to be tough to kind of get some things in. So we're going to we don't have a specific agenda. We have some videos we're going to show throughout the year. We're going to let these guys just roll with it, man. We're going to let these guys talk about stories and interact with each other and share stories from that 81 season. And we had a lot of the guys on around 7 to 7:40 this evening already. And they have got a list of things ready to go for you guys on this as well. So let me check right now with Jamie. Let me see who's all in the waiting room. Jamie, right now, do we have everybody in the waiting room? Do we want to bring everybody on? So there's Kenny, Anthony, Pete,
Reggie,
Chris.
All right.
Yo.
Chris.
I haven't seen you guys in so long. It's unbelievable.
So
great seeing everybody.
Yeah, so let's do this. I'm just going to start off with one thing and let you guys roll with it. So, guys, we really appreciate you guys being here with us. Pete, I got some crown right here, man. I just want to let you know I got the crown going here for you.
Hey, cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
Peter, you still in the van? You never left the van, did you?
Hey, you can get 30 vans in this RV, brother.
All right. So, guys, we have a large amount of people watching right now on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. So I'm going to start off with one video, and I want you guys just to interact with each other. But just like this year, the Bengals are announcing new uniforms for next season. So this coming spring. So in spring of 1981, they brought out the new uniforms. We're going to play one short clip, and we would like Reggie to start off talking about this. So Jamie, if you could play clip number 1, please.
Please model it for us. Put the helmet on. Let's see what you look like in full gear. Would you mind doing that?
No,
man?
I don't mind. And once again, you're right. It is not my size. It's too small. I don't want to look like a pinhead Cincinnati Bengals team because I'm proud of the uniform. I want to do it all the justice.
Okay. Very good.
Whoa.
Okay, here we have it now. We're going to see the full gear here. These being, of course, the away uniform.
Very, very tight helmet. Glenn Bujnak has like a 7+ size helmet, and that initial helmet was only, I think, 7 at the most, and I'm a 7 3/3, so it was really a tight squeeze, but I liked the helmet. It was something fresh. It was something that was a big departure from our previous uniform. Our previous uniform was almost a Cleveland Brown takeoff with the lettering on the helmet. So I thought it was exciting. I was getting married in a few weeks, so anything was going to make me happy.
Anybody else's thoughts on that uniform? I want to hear some real thoughts about that uniform. I know you guys thought it was crazy initially.
Well, do we have the Collinsworth clip? I've seen it somewhere. He said, well, we got those
yeah.
guys. We better play good or they're going to laugh us out of the league.
I just thought everybody in the NFL wore goofy helmets. I didn't know.
Hey, Slim, the key was, I thought the key was Jeff Ruby opened the precinct, so we actually had somewhere to celebrate after we won some games.
Now wait a minute. Is it fair that Pat McInally is still the sexiest guy on our team? Is that even? How are you, brother? I haven't seen you forever.
I'm doing great.
Yeah, I'll tell you the only other helmet that had the real immediate distinguishing deal was the LA Rams. I mean, you look at that helmet, it was the LA Rams, and when you looked at that helmet, you knew it was the Cincinnati Bengals, and so Paul Brown knew what he was doing. I guess he wanted something that was going to be distinctive, and man, but he put the pressure on. Right? I mean, everybody was like, "Better play good, man. Better play good with these helmets."
Yeah, the only problem we had is that I wore the double bar, and they didn't make that in black. So Tom Gray, our equipment guy, he tried to paint it, but it kept chipping. We tried to put electrical tape around it. It kept peeling. So that's why you'll see a lot of shots. It's half black and it's half gray underneath.
I thought you only sat at a double bar.
Oh. Don't get started, Collinsworth.
Chris, you got broke, man.
He's on fire.
Hey, Chris, I remember your exact statement. Chris said,
"What did I say?
With uniform this ugly, you better play well or you get your butt kicked." That was Cris Collinsworth. Direct quote.
I honestly never thought that it was an ugly uniform. I thought it was a distinctive uniform. I'm very proud of the helmet. I'm proud to be the very first person to wear that striped helmet. I'm glad that they're at least going to continue that part of the uniform. I'm looking forward to what the rest of the uniform will look like.
That's awesome. So, guys, here's what I want to do. I'm going to play just a couple. I want to pick out. We want to talk about that Super Bowl 16. Very special year for everybody on this screen in the city of Cincinnati. We have a very large amount of viewers right now. So we're just going to pick a couple games and videos of throughout the game that I thought were significant games and have you guys talk about them. So we're going to skip over week one. Bengals come back, after being down 21-0, 20-0, something like that in the first half. Turk Schoner comes off the bench and wins the game. Week two, however, there was a lot of discussion in the city of Cincinnati. Should Kenny or Turk Schoner start game two? So coaching staff, ownership decided, you know what? Kenny Anderson's going to start that second game. And let's go to that video clip, Jamie, for game two versus the Jets.
But to borrow an old expression, these 81 Bengals are a new breed of cat. For the second straight week, the guys in the Easter Sunday bonnets fell behind early, then rallied to win. The go-ahead score came late in period 4 on this touchdown by Archie Griffin, and it gave Cincinnati a 1-point lead. Less than a minute later, a New York fumble ensured the Bengals a victory. Number 72, Mike St. Clair's 12-yard jaunt increased the Bengal lead to 8. And those...
So guys, that was 2 weeks in a row comeback win there. So just you guys remember that game at all?
Hey, Lap. I think you have to talk about our van trip to Shea Stadium that took a detour. The early van from Jersey to Shea Stadium that got there just minutes before pregame warmup.
Yeah, that dude, he was taking us to the wrong stadium. He was taking us to the wrong location. Unbelievable.
Took us by Yankee Stadium. They had the U.S. Open going on. The Yankees were playing, and he thought he took a shortcut.
Yeah.
And we had how many starters? We had 8 starters on the van.
Yeah, we had the entire starting lineup for the offensive line. No, Kenny, you were kind of a little nerved up in pregame warmups. What was going on out there?
When you go out to warm up and the offensive line, the starters aren't there. I was nervous anyway. And then the thing I remember most about the game is, we went to our first practice, our first team session, on Wednesday, getting ready for the game. And, of course, I had thrown 3 interceptions against Seattle in the first quarter, got benched. So we have a pass play call, and the offensive line said, "Hey, Kenny, which way are you going to throw?" So we go an interception. So I'm a little bit nervous about this, and we get to the game, and so I think our offensive coordinator, Lindy Infante, let me get into the game a little bit, hand off on the first play. No, the first play is a pass play, so I get in the huddle, and I said, "All right, you blankety blanks. This is going to be a pass. It's probably going to go to the right just in case something bad happens. Get your butt over and cover.
Yeah, of course, that Jets defense, they had Klecko, Gastineau, Marty Lyons, Abdul Salam. That was the sack exchange. You know, they were famous for heating up the quarterback, and that was going to be a big challenge. But we had the eraser. We had Anthony Munoz, so we had everybody else blocking the other three.
Hey, Kenny, is there any truth to the rumor that when the offensive line didn't show up, you offered to let Turk start?
The thought had crossed my mind.
That's a good line.
Hey, Chris, how about the classic line from Forrest Gregg? I thought I was going to have to suit up. Forrest Gregg was sitting there waiting for us to speak.
Yeah.
Hey, he could have.
No kidding.
That's great. So let's keep going. So we're going to kind of go down the road to the Super Bowl here. So great feedback there, guys. We appreciate it. So week 10, you guys play the San Diego Chargers in San Diego. You guys thump them 40-17. And people need to understand that if you guys didn't win that game, there would be no Freezer Bowl because you guys would have lost the tiebreaker to them. You would have played in San Diego. So let's play this clip of that week 10 game against the San Diego Chargers, Jamie.
Speed and Bengal quarterback Ken Anderson attacked the soft spots. With Isaac Curtis, number 85, gaining 147 yards in the first half alone, Cincinnati capitalized on 3 Charger turnovers to build a 21-point lead. San Diego had the opportunity to cut the margin until quarterback Dan Fouts threw the costliest pass of the game. Lewis Breeden's 102-yard interception return tied an NFL record and opened the floodgates for a 40-17 Cincinnati win.
Hey, did anybody else see a receiver throw a block downfield? That's not you, Chris, was it? An Isaac catch? Come on.
I tell you, one of the big things about that game was that, Chris was having an unbelievable year for a rookie, and Isaac was at the end of his career. And so Chris was commanding a lot of attention. And then all of a sudden, they wanted to kind of double Chris. Isaac has the big game. Then we became a real balanced offense for the playoff run, which I thought was really important.
I wish Isaac were on this thing.
Yeah, that's
Isaac,
a great guy, man.
Oh, he was unbelievable. What do you got, a picture of him?
That's awesome.
So just to let you know, Chris, just to let you guys know, I tried my hardest to get Ike on here, man. And I know he's not a big fan of these things, but he's a legend, man. He had a hell of a game that day.
Yeah.
And Isaac in training camp. So it's like my rookie year. And, Isaac, he only had so many routes left in him at that point, right? And so he would kind of look around and you could tell that, he was just kind of doing it. And then one day he gave me a wink and he said, all right, today's the day. And I had no idea what he was talking about. And so he goes out and we're doing one-on-one routes or whatever. He put on the greatest route running exhibition I have ever seen in my life. I felt like I was out there trying to take notes. Pat, you'll remember his little, whatever that post corner, back to the post, back to the corner, whatever that move was. I think that's where you came up with your, can we say it in this day and age? What did you call it? I'm making you say it out loud.
Say it, Pat. Say it.
Pat, Dad, you always do.
You're the
worst. If you don't say this, then you're the worst. I'm just
Come on, Pat.
But
Pat's
always been the worst.
When Isaac did it, it took about it was literally like 4 moves in one da 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 kind of thing. And when Isaac did it, it took about a half a second. When Pat did it, you could read a novel while he was doing it. But he did it at the Pro Bowl and completely turned around. Pat did it at the Pro Bowl and completely turned around one of the starting cornerbacks in the AFC Pro Bowl team.
Mel Blount. Hey, but you know what? I remember when Louis Burton's first day, it was a great DB, obviously, but Isaac turned to me and said, it's time to take him to school. He put that quadruple move on and completely turned Louis around. But the impressive thing was, by the end of the play, Louis was within a step or so. The only guy I ever saw get close to Isaac.
Wow.
He was, people don't remember. Isaac beat, I think I've got this story right. Isaac beat both guys who represented the U.S. in the 100 meters in the Olympics. And you'll remember this Olympics because they got disqualified because they were late to some preliminary where they could have run backwards and qualified for the next round. And those were the two guys. He beat both of them.
And Isaac got second in the NCAAs as a freshman. And he said he had such a great start. He was 3 or 4 yards ahead of those guys. And they restarted it because it was too good a start. That's what he always did. So
wow.
All I know is every time it snowed for the first time, Pat, what did he sing?
What now?
Every time it snowed for the first time, what did Isaac sing?
Hamstring?
No. Silver bells. Silver bells,
No, you talk about hamstrings. When Isaac came in 73, you knew how special he was when he would go out to practice and he would tell Paul Brown, I think my hamstring's tight. Isaac, take the day off. He didn't know, but he thought it might be tight. Take the day off.
Yeah. You mentioned how that game was so important for the Super Bowl, for the home field playoffs. I mean, guys that see over the years for the San Diego Chargers, they're like, oh yeah, if we didn't have to play in the cold, if we played you guys in San Diego, it would have been a different deal. In that AFC Championship game. I'm like, well, do you remember what happened in the regular season game when we did play in San Diego?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, not really. It's like 40-17. So I think we could have beaten you in the moon. It didn't matter where we played, really.
But hey, do you guys remember, not younger guys like Reggie, too young, but the last play against Houston. That was the greatest play I ever remember in the Bengals. Remember he took it in?
4th and 4.
On a curl.
4th and 4. And he went like 44 yards with a bunch of fours, I remember. Yeah. That could play of the year, I think, in the NFL, didn't it?
I mean, it's still the Bengals' greatest play for me. It was unbelievable.
4th and 4, like with 40-some seconds from the 40-yard line was crazy.
Yeah, little curl.
Hey, so Pete, I got a question for you, Pete. So in practice, not specifically any practice at all, but you guys used to hit live, right? So did you used to run over Reggie all the time? Is that what you told us last show? You used to run over Reggie all the time?
Oh, here we go.
Hey, I would never hurt my teammates. What are you talking about?
The
only teammate I always ran over Chris is him. Chris, that wasn't very often, man. Hey, Chris, you're still walking. We can barely walk. So I didn't run you over. Hey, Chris, you had people protesting in front of our house. Leave it alone. Telling people on Monday night that I ran you over. I had protesters and everything. Like, why don't you like Cris Collinsworth? I love Cris Collinsworth.
I told my mother not to do that.
All right, so Reggie, one more quick question about that game.
I tell you one thing.
Go ahead, Pete.
Hey, Jim, I got to tell you one thing about Reggie, though. So we were in practice one day, and everyone kind of goofing off, and Reggie, I don't know, he came on the wrong side of the bed, but we didn't have pads on. We was in shorts, and he looked at me and yelled at me, "Stop clowning around." And he come up and he gonna hit me, and I stuck my arm out, and Reggie, what happened, right? You hit the ground. And after practice, he come up to me, "Damn, I didn't know you was that tough." You remember that, Reggie?
Of course not, man.
I didn't hit you that hard, so I know you can remember.
That's good.
Oh man, that's great. So, all right, let's move on because we're gonna get to the Super Bowl, man. And you guys go any direction you want. But to me, as a young buck watching this game, Week 15, the dreaded Pittsburgh Steelers. The road to the Super Bowl goes through Pittsburgh. Week 15. You guys beat up. Had a very physical game and win the AFC Central 17-10. And this is a great clip right here, Jim. If we could play Week 15 against the Steelers, please.
It has been said that to get to the Super Bowl, you must first pass through Pittsburgh. Under Forrest Gregg, the Bengals have never lost to the Men of Steel. Players and coaches alike go after the Steelers with an uncommon zeal.
When you play Pittsburgh, you understand what's in front of you. And I think good football players, I think they respond to that challenge. Our guys, for some reason, they know that they must play their best football against Pittsburgh. Otherwise, they're going to get beat. And they're not only going to get beat by the score, they're going to get beat physically. And they understand that.
Yeah, come on, Kenny! Right there, right there!
In a gut-level, low-scoring affair, Ken Anderson's touchdown passes to Isaac Curtis and Steve Kreider made the difference. The 17-10 win clinched Cincinnati's first division crown since 1973. Yes, there was a new and powerful force in the AFC Central, acknowledged by Steeler coach Chuck Noll.
All right, hey, listen, congratulations go all the way.
One thing right now, you may have worked for.
The next step for the new champions, the playoffs, and a showdown with the Buffalo Bills.
Ugh, man.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
You remember when we came back to Cincinnati at like 2 a.m. and there was only one person waiting at
JB.
JB.
That's right.
JB. Got to have it. Hey, I thought that was pretty cool. So my rookie year, 1980, the Steelers had just beaten the Rams for their fourth Super Bowl in the 70s out in Pasadena. So I get there as a rookie. We go 2-0 against Pittsburgh. And then that win right there we just saw made it 4-0. And I'm thinking, man, this is pretty cool. We just beat the 4-time Super Bowl champions 4 times in a row. I thought it was going to happen every year, and we're going to, one of many Super Bowls to come. But, they still had everyone. I was like, do I get autographs first? I mean, Joe Green, Ham, Lambert, Blanche. Do I get autographs first and then play against? I said, nah, what the heck? Let's just go out and beat them and get the AFC Central, which is pretty cool.
Well, do you remember how with Forrest, we used to go on the road and we would have our Saturday practice at the visiting stadium.
Yeah.
And so we're in Pittsburgh. And we're out at our practice, and Lambert comes out of the stadium, said, "Hey, Anders, I'm going to kick your ass tomorrow." He didn't.
No.
So anything else on that game? That to me, I just remember that game. That was the AFC Central, guys. That was awesome.
Yeah, all I remember is when I was on the show on Fox with Terry Bradshaw. And, of course, the 4 Super Bowl rings and all that got brought up all the time. And I said, all I can remember is my rookie year, we beat you guys twice and sent all y'all into retirement. and Howie looked over at me and he said, that all you got? And I said, yep, that's pretty much it.
That's great. So, just a hard-nosed fought game there, to win the Central. And I think Kenny and I were talking before the show as he was testing his feed and stuff. If you guys remember, that was Week 15. Week 16, you kind of had the letdown game a little bit against the Atlanta Falcons. You guys almost lost that game. You guys remember that game?
Yeah.
That was the important one because, that gave us home field advantage. We lose that one, and we don't have it throughout the playoffs. And I think, watching the highlight films with Pat, was that the one that the Forrest Gregg was somehow McInally? It looked like you're kicking with a broken knuckle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoever thought of the foot as a knuckle? I don't know. Yeah.
Pat's the only guy, though, that I can ever remember getting yelled at for not being funny. Pat's job was to be funny in every meeting and do whatever it took. And whatever it was, I've never seen anybody. Forrest yelled at Pat for not being funny in one meeting.
I got to tell this story now. This is in training camp. and we're getting ready to break training camp, and we'd had a rookie party, and the dorm is just destroyed. And we go to our meeting the next day. Forrest is upset, and he is going to chew our ass out. And we're all sitting in our chairs, and he would call roll. Anderson here, Breach here. It's to McInally. There's no answer. McInally. There's no answer. And then there's a window kind of above ground level. He sticks his head through. Here, coach. Mister, get your ass in here right now. And we all wait. Oh, Pat, what are you doing? He comes walking through the door with a baseball hat, a pair of tennis shoes, and a belt on, and nothing else. Forrest started laughing. He tried to stop laughing to chew us out and could not stop laughing. And he said, clean the goddamn dorm up. Saved us the biggest chewing we ever got. Pat, I thank you for that.
Oh, now wait a minute. You got to sing the song, Pat. You got to sing the song. Come on. Come on. You remember the song. What did you sing?
Well, I'm proud to be a Bengal. Yes, I'm proud to be a Bengal always been. I got nothing from you guys. That was a solo, okay?
Let me just say this. Pat wasn't quite as proud to be a Bengal after the silent treatment as he was when he walked in the room. I'm just going to leave it at that.
We did.
It was no small talk after I walked in the room. So.
We had nothing like that going on the defensive side. I will say that. You guys had more fun than we did.
But it sounds like Pat saved your asses at the end of the day, right?
No question.
Oh, yeah.
No question about it.
Oh, that's good stuff, man. Good stuff. All right, so let's move on to the playoffs here, guys. And just a real quick update. Gary Burley was supposed to be with us, guys, and I wanted a couple guys from defense, and we got Reggie and GB. GB's not feeling well, so he didn't want to come on the screen. He is watching us, the live feed right now, just to give you a heads up.
What up,
GB? Feel better, buddy. We love you, man. So let's move on to the divisional playoff, guys, against the Buffalo Bills. The first ever home playoff game here in Cincinnati. The first ever playoff victory in Cincinnati football history. Jamie, if you could play clip number 5, please.
Joe Ferguson threw 2 first-half interceptions, including one to number 53, Bo Harris. Ferguson was unable to complete a pass for the first 25 minutes of the game, but his counterpart, Ken Anderson, couldn't miss. Anderson completed his first 6 attempts, and his passing set up a touchdown on the Bengals' very first possession. Anderson kept Buffalo off balance with crafty play calling, such as this play-action fake that influenced the quick-reacting Bills to commit themselves, leaving an open passing lane. When Anderson rolled to his right, he found a lonesome target in number 89, Dan Ross. The Bengals increased their first quarter lead to 14-0 when number 46, Pete Johnson, scored a 1-yard touchdown. Another look at the score shows that Johnson benefited from number 40, Charles.
First playoff win in Cincinnati football history, guys. You guys were all there. How special is that?
I think the best thing about the game was it was 50 degrees that day. Yeah. Towards the end of December, we had a great day to play.
Yeah, it was Indian summer, no question. And it was Joe Ferguson, Joe Cribbs. It was kind of like the team that had the ball last. I mean, but defense again, takeaways, takeaway touchdowns. I mean, that was big all year long. And Harris with the big takeaway there, man, that was a big part of the game. There's no doubt. Man, to have a day like that where it felt like the fall. Literally, it felt like training camp. I mean, it was, or not training camp. It was always 90,000 degrees, but it felt like beautiful day in the fall in Cincinnati instead of December, January. It was crazy.
So, Reggie, let me ask you a question. Do you remember the significance of the month? I'm putting you on the spot, Reg. My bad. So, do you remember the significance of the month of December for the Cincinnati Bengals? Special month for you guys. So, talk about that.
It was a special month, and you're absolutely right. I mean, the Pittsburgh victory on the road was preceded by the Cleveland Browns victory on the road. And both of those defensively, we had takeaways. I had takeaways in both games. They hit on Brian Syke that forced a fumble in the fourth quarter that we recovered, and then I was able to intercept Terry Bradshaw. But, that's when we were winning at home, and that's what makes for a championship team.
Yeah, so
remember that we did the record Cincinnati Bengals with
beat them Cincinnati, push them back behind the end zone line. They won't come back tomorrow if they have to face the winner of this race. Bingo. Yes, I remember our song. Of course.
Love that.
Wow, look at that.
With Isaac Curtis and Archie Griffin and Midnight Star. That was that's one of my special memories.
Who was the group that wrote it and were there?
It was a Midnight Star, and Midnight Star,
Good
actually got a gold record. The lead singer was Belinda Lipscomb. She had a crush on Isaac Curtis, and so she really sung that song with such fervor that it's still in my playlist. I'll say that.
So Pete, were you in were you like playing the bass or something?
Hey, I was too busy chasing Chris, trying to run him over. They didn't invite him. Anthony and I, we weren't invited.
Oh, that's great. That is great. So yeah, that month of November, guys, you guys had 5 victories, 5 wins in the month of November, man. Big month, guys. That was critical. A lot of big wins, a lot of good teams you beat in that month of November. So let's move on. I know you guys
November to remember. That's what it was. November to remember.
Yep. So the next clip. So that was the first playoff victory ever in Cincinnati football history. This next one, you knew we guys were going to get to this tonight. The Freezer Bowl against those San Diego Chargers. They were bitching and complaining about having to play in the cold. That if it was a neutral site, they would have beat you. You guys just stumped them in week 10. 40-17, crushed them. It wouldn't matter where you played them. You guys would have beat them. But you guys had them beat the first series. So I got a clip here. This clip is going to be the first series. Dan Fouts comes out and looks awful. And so let's play this clip right here. This is clip number 6.
San Diego at the 36. Fouts' first throw of the game. And he misses Winslow at the 40-yard line. No records that he set last year. Another pass. This to Chandler. And he gains only a couple. Louis Breeden and Bobby Kemp were on top of that. Going to be intercepted. Oh, it was not. That ball just died out there. It was a sure interception at about halfway there, and then the ball just floated and allowed the offensive player, Joyner, to come in and break it up. Bottom of your screen, Curtis on the far side. Anderson to throw. Touchdown! M.L. Harris.
I know you got things to talk about with that clip, guys.
Here's the one thing I want to talk about is I want to hear from all these guys. What were your survival techniques for that game? Everybody had a different one. What were your survival techniques?
Pairs of pantyhose on them.
Say pantyhose?
I didn't wear no pantyhose.
Wear pantyhose, right, Lap?
Oh, no. They didn't have king size. No king size, so we couldn't put the pantyhose on. No, it was basically just gray T-shirt, shoulder pads, and jersey, and then it was out. I know I wore some baseball gloves and scuba gloves on my hands, but that was it.
Well, how about Vaseline on the offensive lineman's arms?
They let us do that. They let us do that.
I got to commend the offensive line. The offensive line, were bare-armed, and I was the only guy in defense that was bare-armed. But I did wear scuba gloves, but I got to compliment Kenny Anderson for being able to throw that ball with a bare hand in that cold. Kenny Anderson, you deserved MVP that year, and you got it.
Hey, Chris, you remember Kreider putting on bags on his feet? Do you remember? Like plastic bed bags or something.
It was unbelievable. The amazing thing about it was that you didn't, like, you would think your feet would slip all over if you had a plastic bag in over your feet, but they didn't. And staying warm there was, I mean, I'll never forget when they came into the locker room and said, all right, it's time to go out and warm up. It's 59 below zero. I'm like, you want me to leave this and go out there and warm up? How about if I just stretch in here and get ready to play? I mean, you cannot imagine how cold it was. I mean, I'm a rookie out of the University of Florida. The only cold game I had ever played in was 33 degrees at the University of Kentucky in November. That was it. It is 59 below zero. When I woke up that morning, the alarm clock went off. I'll never forget it. The little thing. And the clock, the radio guy comes on and goes, it's 9 below zero. The wind's blowing 35 miles an hour. Whatever you do, don't let your dog outside today. and I'm thinking, this is insanity. But it was all worth it because I did get to see Pete Johnson parading around in pantyhose. So I did think the whole thing was worth it. I can't even remember the game. I don't even remember the final.
You're killing me.
I will never forget Pete Johnson in pantyhose. I'm just saying that right now.
Hey, Pete, did you shave your legs, Pete?
Chris. Hey, no, I never wore pantyhose. You're killing me, man. I thought we
was that after the game, Pete?
Hey, they belong to you. You should know. But I tell you what,
my best story about that game. I'm sorry, Pete, but my best story about that game is in the first quarter. I'm sitting on the heated benches. We'd never had heated benches before, and I'm sitting on my hands. My feet are in the little slots under the bench. My helmet's on, luckily, and they put a cape over me, and there's a loud roar. And I stand up to see if I'm going back in the game, and my feet don't come out of the slots, and I go down, and the first thing that hits is my face mask. And I'm seeing stars. I'm calling for the trainers. I can't get knocked out of the game, by falling off the bench. Please give me some smelling salts. In today's world, somebody would have caught that on camera. It would have been a concussion protocol and never finished the game.
Yeah. Kenny talked about the Vaseline, the officials, because of the temperature, exposed skin, you could put Vaseline on. So we had our arms exposed. I had a grabber, a guy named Gary Big Hands Johnson, who was appropriately named. And, they let us put Vaseline. So we put it on our arms. I did it anyway. And, man, he would hit that, and slip and slide off of there. And, but it was so damn cold that the Vaseline coagulated. I mean, you couldn't even manipulate the stuff. Crazy out there. Crazy.
All I know is our defense was unbelievable that day.
Oh, yeah.
Kenny Anderson, yes. I've never seen quarterback play that made more of a difference. I mean, some of those clips you saw earlier, Dan Fouts was an unbelievable player. But that day, he had no control over the ball whatsoever. And Kenny, you would have thought it was a spring afternoon. You had no idea. It was one of the honestly, no jokes, nothing. It was one of the single greatest performances by a quarterback in the history of the National Football League. You'll never tell me any different.
Amen. I agree.
He was unbelievable that day.
No question. He had that big old hand, man. Big old wrapped around that football.
Yep. So the other story, we had Eddie Edwards on the show.
He was that way the whole year.
Yep.
MVP.
MVP.
Except opening day.
So
that opening day set Turk up for the rest of the year at the precinct.
The rest of his life.
For the rest of his lifetime.
Oh, that's great. So it's funny, guys. About 3 months ago, he had Eddie Edwards on the show, and he told the funniest story about him and Isaac Curtis sitting on the bench. And Isaac's ears were freezing. So Isaac had those hand warmers. So he said he took one of Isaac's hand warmers and put him on his ear. And it started freezing, like burning his ear like a piece of meat. And his ear started turning white and cooking on his ear. You guys remember that story? You guys share that? Did he share that with you guys?
Yeah, I remember sitting next to Eddie on the bench because he was from Miami, just like Chris. I mean, that was a brutal cold for those players to be exposed to. I at least, grew up in Michigan and went to school in New Hampshire, so I was somewhat ready for it. but he was sitting in the bench, as Ken said. This is the first time we had these benches, and they had these cutouts. And he was sunk so deep in that bench that his pants caught on fire. And we said, Eddie, you're on fire. You're on fire. He said, I don't care. I don't care.
I want to know where they got the hand warmers. I never had any of those.
I didn't have one either.
I think Chris and Isaac had them. Nobody else. It was just the receivers.
Correct.
Jim, have you ever thought that Forrest Gregg actually played in the two coldest games?
Yeah.
Right. Or coached and played. Pretty amazing.
But he was bundled up when he played, and that's why I got to give it to our offensive line, who, started the trend now of being bare arm. I'm glad to be part of that trend. Suns out, guns out. It all started in that game.
Hey, Lap, I don't know if you remember when we came out for that warm-up, that short warm-up before we ran back in, I believe we spotted 2 Chargers with no sleeves on. So when we came out for the game, we made it a point to look over to the other sideline and find those 2 guys to see if they were going to go bare arm, and they were all bundled up. They might have had 2 or 3 layers. Yeah,
absolutely all bundled up, no doubt.
Yep.
So Chris, who did you send popsicles over to the night before the game?
Wes Chandler.
Wait a
My
minute.
Florida guy.
Wait a minute. Tell that story, Chris. I've not heard this one.
Wes Chandler and I played at the University of Florida together. I'm quite sure they never made it there, but I did, just as a little joke, because I knew he'd be dying as much as I was, because he was from New Smyrna Beach, so he had no prayer getting anything done in that game, just like I didn't either. I honestly, the thing I remember most about the game was that the only way I can describe what it was like to get hit was if you took a 20-foot mirror and took a sledgehammer to it and watched it fall into 100 pieces on the ground. That's what I felt like the first time I got hit in that game. I'm just telling you, there is no way to explain. And maybe if you're on the offensive line or Reggie or Pete and you're getting hit repeatedly, whatever. But when you only got hit ever so often, I have never and have never experienced anything like that in my entire life, ever.
No, I will agree. In terms of cold, as soon as you took one step away from the heated bench, it was like slapping you in the face.
Yeah.
And it was immediate, brutal pain. And the whole time you're like going into it like this, it became an entity. It was another monster on the field, so to speak, and almost had his own life. But the San Diego Charger players had bought into the cold being their enemy, and they were all bundled up. And that's why in the second half, they came out and tried, to get a drive start in the second half, and that's where it actually was the first time that Hank Bulla did his zone blitz defense with me and Ross Browner, us doing an X stunt. That resulted in me hitting their running back, Chuck Muncie, and forcing the fumble that ended their first drive of the third half. And from that point, they were cold for the rest of the game.
Hey, Chris, I have never been that cold in my life. And I made a promise to the Lord I would never be that cold again. That's why I'm in Florida right now. And at 50 degrees, and I won't leave the RV.
Hey, guys, remember
you may have been cold, Pete, but they didn't stop you.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Remember Forrest Gregg had the guy open the doors at the stadium with the wind whipping off the river, and Rolf Bernerska lined up to kick an extra point or field goal or whatever, and it was like Siberia, man. The wind that was coming in that tunnel into the stadium, and the officials looked at, Forrest Gregg, and they closed those doors off. When those things were open, you remember that wind tunnel? Oh my gosh, man.
Man, I thought y'all made that up.
That was brutal.
You guys remember Forrest pregame talk when he said, "Men,
it'd be like going to the dentist."
Like going to the dentist.
Yeah.
You know it's going to hurt, but you got to go anyway.
Gotta go do it. Yeah. Yeah.
So what was so M.O. Harris was on the show here months ago as well. So M.O. Harris was telling me that you know how today's players have these like real thin gloves that stick. He had some gloves on that you could just drive a car with, like the fluffy fur on the inside. You guys remember seeing that for M.O. Harris?
And he played in Canada.
But he was a weenie, so he would wear gloves. Chris didn't wear none.
Oh, please.
But he caught that touchdown. Hey, before we get to the Super Bowl, and so if you guys are okay on time, if at any point you guys need to drop out, go ahead. We understand. But a couple things here before we get to the Super Bowl, we're gonna have some questions from the fans that are watching, the viewers, watching, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of folks watching right now. But Kenny had talked about in the about 7 o'clock tonight about how the crowd wound up changing, the stadium changed, the fans changed during that 81 season. That really helped you guys. So elaborate on that a little bit more, Kenny.
Well, Anthony and Chris wouldn't know about this, but all the other ones, we played back in the mid 70s, the late 70s, but all of a sudden, we got to 81, and there's banners around the stadium, and of course we changed the uniforms, and people have their face painted black and orange, and they've got the orange and black wigs on. Was a totally different atmosphere that year, and it just kept growing as the year went on.
No, that is absolutely true. It was something that was reminiscent of what Three Rivers Stadiums did have. Quite honestly, one of my first memorable experiences was playing them when they were the back-to-back defending Super Bowl champions. My first time at home during November, every single player had a banner hanging up, and it was something impressive. They had great fans, and our fans really did come to life that year. The Who Day cheer was something that we believed. Who Day is going to beat us. We were that confident, and it still should be said, with confidence. It has been watered down over the decades since we played. You almost kind of hate to see the Who Day cheer, even though I love it as a hometown scene. But, everyone in the league now knows after a couple of days that Who Day going to beat them Bengals. Well, been a lot of people.
I can add maybe to that, to Kenny's point, because I got there my rookie year, so I didn't experience the 70s. But the one thing that I told people right away is that it was hard to really see that the Bengals played there because it was all red and white. It was all reds, because it was coming off the Big Red Machine and stuff. So that was exciting for me from my rookie year to that second year to see that orange and black taking over the city, because before then it was just all Cincinnati Reds.
No, that's a great point. You're absolutely right.
On the downturn. They had a bad couple of years, which I always liked this a lot. Filled the void with the winning team.
Yep.
I'll tell you too, the turf at that place, all the cookie cutter stadiums that had baseball and football teams like, Atlanta, Cincinnati, and that stuff was hard as a rock. And in the Freeze Bowl game, that field was even much harder because of the temperature. I mean, when you hit a guy blocking or tackling, whatever, then when you hit the ground, it was like two hits, contact, and hit the ground, second contact. And that turf was an advantage, I think, for us. We knew where the seams were for the bases and the plates and pitcher's mound, all that kind of stuff. I mean, that field could be treacherous, man.
It was a horrible field to play on. I mean, I can attribute at least one knee operation to that, at least.
I'm sure the Bengals picked it up. The Bengals
bad in Pittsburgh.
Yep, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Cincinnati. It was all the same, right?
Jets was terrible too.
So
Pittsburgh had a sheet of carpet on cement.
But the worst part of our stadium still was still the fact that Marshot would let Shotzi 1 and 2 use our field. And that was disrespectful.
So, guys, hey, before we go to the Super Bowl, I know we got a lot of stuff and there's a lot of Super Bowl memories for Pontiac, and I know a lot of these stories that I can't wait for the fans to hear. We want to go to a few questions from some of our viewers. Just a couple of questions here from our viewers. There's really hundreds of questions right now. So, Jamie, if you want to pop up just a couple questions, and guys, if you can see these on the screen here, basically it says, does any one of the guys have an opinion on the Hall of Fame snubbing of our players and the franchise? Not just Kenny Anderson, but Ken Riley, Isaac Curtis, Anthony. I'm sorry, Anthony's obviously already in, but Willie Anderson, Corey Dillon. Max Montoya, all these guys that should be in the Hall of Fame. What's your guys' take on that?
Well, the one that makes me craziest is Kenny.
Yep.
Because how many passing titles did you win? 4, something like that? 4, and gets us to the Super Bowl. And honestly, I had a fumble in the Super Bowl. We were so bad in the first half of the Super Bowl. If I ever had anything in my lifetime that I cannot stand to think about, it's the first half of that Super Bowl in Pontiac. Literally have never watched the game. I had a catch and fumbled the ball on the 5-yard line. I think we had 3 turnovers total in the first game. But Kenny Anderson was unbelievable. He had a fantastic game. The reason we didn't win was because mistakes of other people, not him. And he should have been in the if we win that Super Bowl, it's not even close. He's in the game. And so I'm all for, quarterbacks have to win championships. But I think you have to look at it closer. You have to say, did he play championship level football? And throughout the course of that season after the opener and the playoffs, including the Freeze Bowl game, he was just always the difference. And so it literally makes me insane that when somebody tries to explain to me why he's not in there, I almost jump down their throat. They almost have to contain me a little bit when they do that. So out of everything, thinking of that Super Bowl, it's almost hard for me to think of the 81 season because I know I have to think about the first half of that Super Bowl.
You mentioned, Chris, Kenny had 4 passing titles. He had back-to-back passing titles in 2 different decades. Back-to-back passing titles, 74 and 75, and then he also 81 and 82. Now, how many quarterbacks in the Hall of Fame had back-to-back passing titles in 2 different decades? Come on, man.
Hey, Lap, to your point, Lap, and I constantly am talking to the senior selectors. To your point, one day I took on a whiteboard in my office in our building, and I wrote, there was 5 lines of statistics, 5 different quarterbacks, and one of my former employees, big Bengals fan, I didn't put any names by those statistics. I said, which one of these 5 lines of stats is not in the Hall of Fame? And the one line of stats that outdid all the other 4s, not only by a little bit, but for a lot. Blew them away. The other 4 guys are in the Hall, and Kenny's not in the Hall. That to me is just right. It's not right. It's not right.
Well, see, I think the big problem is the young announcers, and they look at Super Bowl wins, what qualify you for the Hall of Fame. Well, Hall of Fame should be an individual. Super Bowls is team. I know 5 and 6 guys that never touched the field in the Super Bowl, and they got 4 and 5 Super Bowl rings. So you're judging it the wrong way. It should be the individual performance.
Yeah, Pete, here's what's interesting. So we had David Baker from the Hall of Fame, president, CEO of the Hall of Fame, on the show last week. And so we were kind of grilling him a little bit. So here's what we told him. It's interesting that you see good players on Super Bowl winners that are in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You don't see great players that didn't win a Super Bowl in the Hall of Fame. And it's not right. It's a popularity contest, and it's frustrating as hell for the fans, for sure.
Well, you know why? I'm going to interject here. You know why we were good? Is because we had teammates like this that stood up for everybody, had everybody's back.
Yep.
And I tell you what, I had the greatest teammates in the world.
That's good stuff.
So did I, Kenny.
So let's go on to our next question. What did the Battle of Ohio? We don't call we don't say that name of the city. We actually tried to trade the city up north to Cleveland for a 6-pack of Molson and some maple syrup. So they're no longer part of Ohio, but the city up north. What did that game mean to you guys?
Paul Brown.
Yeah, it was big with Paul.
You knew it's the most important game for Paul Brown to look good, to feel good, to get revenge. And so I always knew that whatever our one-loss record was, whatever our options were in terms of playoffs or anything like that, if we beat Cleveland, then we were going to have a better bus ride or flight home.
Well, do you remember when Paul was the head coach, we always stopped by on the way to the hotel to walk through the Cleveland Stadium because he said, it's a cavernous place. I don't want you to be surprised tomorrow.
Right, right. The only time I saw tears in his eyes is when he got presented a game ball after we beat Cleveland. I mean, that, you know, his whole deal. I remember too that time when we pulled up with the buses and Modell pulled in right into a spot before the buses parked and Paul's sitting right up front like he always did, and they get off. He gets off the bus and Modell gets out of his car and they walk by each other. He didn't say a word, man. Just icy stare, you know, big stare down. Those two hated each other. Wow.
So bigger rivalry, city up north or the city near West Virginia?
Cleveland.
Yeah, you guys beat the Steelers every year.
No, we didn't beat the Steelers every year. I'd like to believe we did, but no.
I think the Steelers.
I would say the Steelers game was the biggest game of the year, I thought.
Who was that again?
Yeah. Pat, tell the story about what's his name, Harden.
Oh,
this is you talk about the greatest play in Bengals history. Now, this didn't happen in '81, but this is a legendary. Tell this story. This is fantastic.
Oh, the hit.
Oh yeah.
1980.
This is what the NFL was like back in the day. Today, everybody would have been in jail for this, including the referee. But this is what it was like back in the day.
Well, first of all, I ran into his forearms, so it was my fault. But the thing I remember most about that whole incident was, so I'm laying inside the bowels of the stadium, waking up, and I decide, well, my contract's up, you know. So I'm figuring, you know, I'm going to go walk out on that field. So I come walking out, and to thundering applause, you know, all 10,000 people, and you know, I was pretty happy with them. And I remember Danny Ross said, you know, whatever you do, don't go back in. You know, keep your shoulder pads off. After about 5 minutes, Forrest comes up and says, "Hey, can you punt? We need you." This is after I'd been knocked out for 20 minutes. And so I go in and I punt, and wouldn't you know, they roughed me. So they knocked me right on my head again. And then we go into halftime. And so I avoid Forrest, but he catches me on the way out the door, and he says, "Can you play receiver?" Can you imagine being knocked out for 20 minutes in a boxing match and then coming in and taking a new opponent? So, but again, my contract was up, so I'm thinking I'm going to get something out of this.
You know, it's your own fault, Pat, because every year when your contract was up, you would come to me, "Kenny, I need 15 catches this year so I can negotiate as a wide receiver. So I don't want to hear any grief from you."
Okay. So anyway, I go out on the field. I remember, Kenny, you called the play. I can't remember the name of the play, but I knew the play. And I said, "I'm not running that again." And I did a little under route, and Tom Darden was awaiting me. But the great thing about that was we ran a sweep to the right, and I was on the far left at split in. And so I was just kind of jogging, and then I saw Darden. It wasn't anywhere near the play, and I clipped him. And I did try to hurt him, which is not a good thing to do. However, I clipped him, and he's screaming and yelling at the refs. And as I'm going back to the huddle, I swear to you, the ref said, "That's your one shot."
One freebie. I love that story.
That's awesome.
That's great. So let's go. We're going to go one more question before we get to the Super Bowl. AJ Arnett is asking, out of everybody on the screen, Who was the biggest ladies' man?
Even though he was married,
Schoner.
he never was available.
Isaac was number one, and then Schoner.
Yeah.
Who you said?
No, I said, of everybody on the screen, it's the bottom right. There's no doubt.
I agree with that order. Women would melt around Isaac Curtis. Melt.
Yeah.
And Turk had something that you can't even explain. I'm just telling you, the greatest couple of years in the world were when I first met Turk Schoner, and we were like the only two single guys in the world. And I had no idea. It was like, you talked about it earlier, but Cincinnati lost their damn minds when we went to the Super Bowl. I mean, they lost their minds. You talking about you had to be at the Freezer Bowl to understand it. You had to be in that city. And I think that Turk and I were the only two single guys in all of Cincinnati at that time. I'm not sure about that, but I kind of think that might be true. And we had the best time, and he was so legendary. Everybody loved Turk. Yeah. And it didn't hurt that he came in week one. You know, we talk and we mess with Kenny a little bit and all that, but we're down, what was it, 20-0?
21-0.
Turk comes in the game, and the only reason Turk came in the game was because Shaq Thompson had sprained his ankle or something. Turk was really the third quarterback. Yep. He comes in the game, and we win 27-21. And I'm not saying that we wouldn't have won it anyway, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But you can't tell the story of 81 without talking about Turk coming into that first game and turning that thing around and winning the game. And then tragically had the heart attack a couple of years ago. I don't think anything in my lifetime ever hit me like that, because you just thought of Turk as being indestructible. I mean, he was, no matter what Turk did, it always worked out for the best. It just always did. And Pat, you'll remember this, the wide receivers, we used to sit on back in the day, they had a real projector, and Forrest would sit on the right side of the projector. And so Turk knew, because we would be way hungover at that point, that to sit completely opposite of that projector, and Forrest couldn't see him. Right. And Turk would just sleep it off because he wasn't playing for the most part anyway. And he would just sleep through the films, and that's the way it went. And Jim McInally, the offensive line coach, tapped Forrest on the shoulder and points over at Turk sleeping on the wall. Yeah. And Forrest took one of these metal canisters where they kept the film and threw it at Turk. Yep. And it hit on top. I mean, this thing, like right over his head, and it was like an explosion in the room. Everybody in the entire room almost jumped out of their skin and collapsed. And Turk did this. What? He was unbelievable. So out of all the legendary figures on this team and on this screen and all, my heart belongs to Turk Schoner. That guy, we had more fun. He was just the greatest.
Hey, Chris,
that's why he's the most valuable Beaver.
Chris, you remember when we were I think with Dink, there were four of us that were single, and they had the Bengal picnic at the end of camp, and Forrest wouldn't let anyone bring anyone but a wife, so none of us bring a girlfriend. And so we settled. We didn't think we could change his mind. And then I went up to Forrest. I said, if Turk can remember any girl's last name, can we take girls to that picnic? And he said, yes. But Turk failed us.
Remember? All right, guys. I know. Look, man, if you have to go, we can keep going. But I want to get to the Super Bowl, guys. But Kenny, you got your Keystone? You got your Keystone Light working there?
What? And what? I have my Bengal Jim. Right here too.
All right, man. I thought you'd have it here. So let's get to the Super Bowl, and I want to talk about Ken Riley before we leave as well. Reggie and I were talking about Ken Riley here, but let's get to the Super Bowl. So. There was a lot of stuff that happened prior to the Super Bowl, on the way to the Super Bowl, during the Super Bowl, all kinds of things. But let's play clip number 7, Jamie, if you could.
Good morning, 4 News Radio 95. In the city right now, the relative humidity is 66%. Southwesterly winds at 21, giving us a wind chill factor of 25 degrees below zero.
A Super Bowl hats here. Both team hats here.
High winds and very cold temperatures, the main factor to contend with. The wind chill index 25 to 35 below zero and strong winds. It is most treacherous of all for pedestrians right now. Sidewalks are glazed over most of the area. If you have a chance to hire someone or do it yourself, try to get that ice cleared.
Like a smoldering fire, the Bengals could be smothered by another mistake or fanned to life by a touchdown. At the start of the third quarter, Kenny Anderson sparked a Bengal drive with a variety of short passes. Then he culminated the 83-yard march with a 5-yard scramble for Cincinnati's first touchdown. And early in the fourth quarter, their offense retrieved some of its lost dignity with a determined 53-yard touchdown drive.
Will go back to throw. Look, fires into the end zone. Touchdown to Dan Ross. And now the Bengals are right back in this football game.
With 10 minutes to play, the difference between the two teams was only 6 points.
So, guys, that gives me goosebumps because there's no doubt in my mind you were the better team that year. That first half, man, just kind of killed us. So let's talk about the Super Bowl and things that happened during that Super Bowl week in Pontiac.
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is turnovers. We turned it over 4 times, and they had a goal line stand against us, so it stopped us on down. So that's 5 turnovers, really, and they had 1. And, you basically go -4 in the turnover department. You're beating yourself. I mean, they're too good to give that kind of stuff, that kind of an advantage to them. We beat ourselves in that game, and it's very disappointing.
Well, the key, to me was the part of the game where we kicked off. They fumbled the opening kickoff. We had the ball in great field position. We make a first down. We've got 3rd and goal on the 5, and I threw an interception. And Dwight Hicks ran it back for a while, and they ended up scoring a touchdown and taking the lead. And without that interception, if we score a touchdown or at least kick a field goal, I think the outcome is different.
It was weird with that because, they have all these stats all the time on Super Bowl week, and the team that scored first was 14-1 in the prior 15 Super Bowls before Super Bowl 16. So that was a big deal. Like you said, Kenny, the scoring first thing was a big deal in terms of, stats and everything.
I mean, I can't think about it. I swear. I literally cannot. I can't think about my mistake and what I did to the guys who are on this screen and who I love and all that kind of stuff. I have never watched that game. I've never, when the highlights are on, I look away. I can't stand it because I agree with what you said. I think we were the better team. I will always believe that we were the better team, and we just got beat. But we had a chance. We lost to those guys in Cincinnati too. So
we did.
It's hard to argue with their world championship. But you'll never convince me that we weren't the better team.
You're right, though, Chris. They beat us by 20, I think, in Cincinnati, didn't they? They beat us pretty good.
21-3.
Yep.
Yeah, 21-3. Yeah. 21-3. Yeah.
I have to say one thing though, Chris. I understand beating yourself up, but you made that one catch over your head, which is still in Super Bowl highlights. I don't know how you caught that ball. It was one of the greatest catches I've ever seen. So you didn't play perfect, but none of us did. So
none of
that
us.
Yeah, so guys, let's talk about. So I remember as a little kid, man, that Look, man, I know there's some things I know. Kenny, you posted something on Twitter this week about you and Lapham being roommates and what happened. I want you guys to talk about that. But after the Super Bowl was over, you guys came back to Cincinnati and Fountain Square. The city was still abuzz. I mean, they were proud as hell of you guys. If you remember, the city was on fire still after you guys lost that Super Bowl.
Well, Cris and I didn't go back to the city. We went out to the airport to go to the Pro Bowl the next day, and we get out to the Detroit airport about 7 o'clock in the morning, and we're not feeling really good. And, of course, our first flight was to San Francisco, and I said, Rook, come on, let's go to the bar. And so we went there and started drinking, drank on the whole flight to San Francisco, had a layover, drank a little bit more, took our flight to Honolulu to get to the Pro Bowl. When we got there, I don't know about you, Cris, but I said, tell Coach Shula I will not be at the meeting tonight. I was not feeling really good.
No,
hey, Jim. Cris and Kenny was so drunk, they didn't even know I was on the plane. They didn't even know I was on the plane. They come downstairs. They was upstairs drinking, and they looked at me like, "What are you doing here?"
Well, we knew a little bit because the plane was tilting just a little bit.
Well, I'll just say this for the guys that weren't going to the Pro Bowl. It was a fantastic reception that we received once we got on our bus to go to Fountain Square. From the time you got on 275, cars just stopped on the side of the expressway, and they would just start waving at us. And so, our bus slowed down so that every car in front of us stopped. People got up and waved. Once we got to 75 to go north, same thing happened all the way until we got to downtown. As far as you can see, in every single direction, there were fans standing out there in the cold. It was still freezing. It was something that was so inspirational that those of us who were there, we promised those fans at that time they were the greatest fans in NFL history. I mean, we had fans that died in the freezer bowl, and so for those fans to be out there, cheering us on when we came home from that loss, that tough loss. I mean, they died with us during the first half. And, they had to hope in that last onside kick at the end of the game that maybe, just maybe, there's a miracle. Those fans that year deserved a championship. And that's why, to be fortunate, with Cris and Anthony to go back 7 years later and take another opportunity to win a championship for Cincinnati, for those great, great fans. Losing Super Bowl 23 is the one that hurts me the worst. I can live with Super Bowl 16. It builds character. But Super Bowl 23, it's an honor to play in both, but that's the one that really hurts.
So Dave, if you could, I don't want to hear Kenny talk about this. I want to hear your side of the story on this. What happened in your hotel room in Pontiac?
Oh yeah, so we get to the hotel and we go up to the room and open the door, and we're looking and it's there's just one bed. And the bed is like a bed that is up against the wall, that you can pull down from the wall.
Murphy bed.
Yeah, Murphy bed. So we thought, I'm thinking, hey, with the MVP here, they must have gotten us a suite. This is great. We might have some big old suite or something. Now, that was it. They stuck us in a room with one Murphy bed. And Kenny looks at me and goes, hey, man, I like you, but, this is going to we're not going to do this. This isn't going to work. We're going to go get this taken care of. So we go down to the front desk and get a room with a couple of beds in it like normal. But, man, thought maybe that was foreshadowing. I don't know. Things to come, but that was weird for sure.
That's funny. Guys, look, man, I know we're really beyond time. I didn't give you a time frame. I want to respect your time, but there's one topic, and I'm so sorry, guys, but hundreds and hundreds of folks watching right now. I want to end the topic. I want you guys to close and let's talk about this guy right here, the Rattler from Ken Riley. So a couple pictures I want to pop up here. So an FMAU student. The FMAU student actually drew a digital photo of Ken Riley. And Jamie, if you could put that up right now. So he did a digital image of Ken Riley right there, and it's a damn shame this man is not in the Hall of Fame. And if you could put another picture up, God bless Ken Riley, rest in peace, Rattler. But here's a picture of obviously Reggie and Kenny at Ken's funeral. So I would love to end the show this evening and everybody make a comment closing about this man, because we are going to be doing a rally June 19th at the Hall of Fame, and we're going to have hundreds, maybe thousands of people up in Canton, and we're going to have giant cutouts of Kenny Anderson and Ken Riley. These two need to be in the Hall of Fame, and it's a damn shame when Ken Riley gets in the Hall of Fame, he's not going to be here for it, but his family is watching right now. I would like a comment from everybody on the screen right now about Ken Riley.
Well, I'm going to start because on our Super Bowl team, next to Kenny, I'm the next oldest guy. And when you look at his career with 65 interceptions, which is fourth all time in the National Football League, in an era when we only threw the ball 18 to 20 times a game at the first half of his career, and he puts up those kinds of numbers and is not in the Hall of Fame, it's a travesty. One of the great guys of all time, one of the great defensive backs of all time. He wasn't flashy. Unfortunately, we had Lamar Parrish on the other side, and he was a punt returner, the more flashy guy. But Kenny was just an unbelievable defensive back. And when everybody that has more interceptions than him is in the Hall of Fame and he's the next guy in line is not, that's wrong.
Yeah, out of the guys, just real quick, the top 8 interception leaders in NFL history, only one of those top 8's not in the Hall of Fame, and it's Ken Riley. So I'm going to go down the screen here. I'm going to go on the order that I see in the screen. So, Kenny, thanks for your feedback on Kenny. Pete, Big Pete, give us your feedback on the Rattler.
Oh, not only a great player, but he was a great leader. And Kenny led by example. And that many times he'd pull me over to the side and just have a word. He wasn't going to be yelling on the field at you or nothing, but he figured that something needed to be addressed. He would pull you over and talk about it. Just a great human being and a great teammate.
Got it. Dave Lapham, your comments on.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's one of those classic examples of, as great a player, even better human being. And like Pete said, the leadership, it was almost like E.F. Hutton. When Kenny Riley spoke, people listened. That old E.F. Hutton commercial, everything he had to say had tremendous significance and a lot of meaning, and he always had something to say at the right time that was the right thing to say, at the right time. And when I think of Kenny Riley, I just think of the word grace. He was a graceful athlete. He had a lot of grace as a human being. I mean, he treated everybody the same. I really, honestly, not tell you the whole time that I was with the team, 10 of the years that Ken Riley was, I cannot tell you one person, and people say this all the time about people, but this is true about Ken Riley. I heard not one negative, bad word ever uttered about Kenny Riley as a player, as a human being, and then not only was he a great player, it goes back to his alma mater. He has success as a coach, as an athletic director. I mean, the guy is special in every single way you can be special. He was special with a capital S in him.
Good. Yeah, thanks for that feedback, Dave. So, Pat?
Well, what I remember most is I broke my leg in the All-Star game, so I didn't really have a rookie season, but I spent the year with the team, and Ken Riley took me under his wing and as a cornerback and really taught me how to run patterns. And I'm not going to claim I got open that often, but if I did get open, it was because of him. But as a human being, we went out to dinner a number of times, and I always believe that he's a very quiet person, very humble, and he was in a defensive backfield with Tommy Casanova, great player, great name, and of course Lamar Parrish was tremendously talented. I think those early years he just got lost behind those guys as far as being in Cincinnati. But what a wonderful, wonderful man.
Reggie?
Oh, I love Ken Riley. I'm glad that picture got showed. It was really something special for you, Ken, to be there at his funeral and to say the words that you did. You're one of the few white people there. It really spoke a lot to me. What a great teammate you've been, a lifetime teammate. Ken Riley was a quarterback himself in college. He was a quiet leader on the field and off the field. He was a great student. He's a Rhodes Scholar candidate. And so for him to be able to switch from offense to defense and play defense to Pro Bowl level and Hall of Fame level is something special. And the thing that I have personally in terms of an affinity with Ken is that he was the only Alpha Phi Alpha brother that I played with. And when I first took the field in 1976, I'd been drafted as a middle linebacker from Dartmouth. They put me at left outside linebacker, which is where I practiced the whole preseason and what I played for the first 3 games. I never played right outside linebacker until the point where I came off the bench to play for Ron Pritchard, who had got hurt. And that's the first time I lined up next to Ken Riley. And the way that he welcomed me as a rookie, knowing that I was scared, but I needed to produce now, is the reason that he's a Hall of Fame person off the field. And I love number 13. I have his number here and wear it proudly.
Hell yeah. I appreciate that, Reggie. Chris, what about you, buddy?
He taught me more about playing receiver than anybody I was ever around. You heard Pat say it, but he did the same thing to me. Is, you know, at the time I got there, he was sort of at the end of his career, and I'm sure beating a rookie time in and time out, you know, helped solidify him as he deserves to keep playing, you know, after as long as he had been playing. But despite that, he would always sort of walk you back to the huddle, not in a like in your face way, but he would walk you back across after a one-on-one drill where he gobbled you up and say, I saw this, or when you do this, don't do that, or do this. I mean, all he wanted was for you to be better. And I've never met anybody like him. I've never in my life met anybody like him. There are so many fantastic teammates that I love and I think so fondly of. But Kenny Riley was the only guy on Thanksgiving when Kenny Anderson and Pete Johnson and Reggie Williams were all sending us out to the turkey farm to some dead end trail that went to nowhere to waste our entire day off. Kenny, as I was walking out to the parking lot with this made up map of where the turkey farm was somewhere in Indiana, came up to me and he said, hey, ain't no turkey farm, man. Ain't no turkey farm. Like, that's my guy, right?
All right.
Never forget Kenny Riley.
That's great. Anthony, your feedback on Ken Riley.
Man, I wish Ken would have liked offensive linemen. I was there with my turkey. Free turkey. He never told me about the turkey. No, I guess as a young player that came to the Bengals at the end of his career, you know, I kind of looked around to see the type of individuals, not only on the field, the type of player, but also how they handled themselves off the field. And I mean, right away, I found out and knew about Kenny Riley as a player. I mean, what he had done over his career and what he had continued to do, you know, even the short time I was with him. But I noticed the humility, but the leadership qualities. You know, he wasn't, you know, boisterous and loud, but you could tell that his work ethic and the way he carried himself, a true professional. And that's what I was thankful for when I got to the Bengals. There was about 3 or 4 guys that I looked at that had those qualities, and Kenny was right there on the top of the list. The way he handled himself, and you know, just the excellence of humility and performance, and a tremendous leader. So I appreciated that as a young player coming into the NFL and getting to know Ken and having a chance to play with him.
Yeah, cool. Guys, I'm going to tell you this little clip, this last 4 to 5 minute clip that we just did, everybody giving feedback on Ken Riley. That clip will be sent to the Hall of Fame, David Baker and his staff. I just want to let you guys know you guys are nothing but class, and you guys are all Cincinnati football legends. And Chris, they can give you a hard time all you want because you're a great announcer. We love you in Cincinnati. The true Cincinnati fans will love you forever, brother. We appreciate everything everybody on this screen does. I can't begin to tell you how important you are to this city, to fans of the Cincinnati Bengals, not just in this city, across the country. And you know that there's fans across the world. We, at our tailgate that we have had fans come in from 42 different countries, 28 different states. And everybody knows who everybody in this screen is. And we appreciate everything you guys have done for the city, fans across the country and the world for the Cincinnati Bengals. But thanks for being with us tonight. It means so much. You guys are all special to everybody. And I had a lot of fun. I hope you guys did too.
Great time. Great seeing everyone.
Thank you, Jim.
It was fun seeing everybody.
We appreciate it, man. We'll see you.
Cheers. Jim,
Thanks, guys.
thank you. Keep it going.
Yeah. Hey, you know it, brother. You know it. Hey, cheers, buddy. Hey, and Gary, GB, I know you're out there watching, GB. Feel better, big dog. We love you.
GB, for sure.
All right, GB.
GB. Get well, GB.
Thanks, you guys. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
All right,
It
Jim.
was fun. Great seeing you guys.
Yes, sir. Thanks, everybody.
Take care,
Later,
Chris.
man.
Good seeing everybody.
Yep. So everybody that's watching right now, if you want to hang around, we're going to have James and Jamie and Tom come on the screen. And guys, I can't begin to tell you that I try not to fanboy, but I'm telling you what, best day ever.
Yeah, that was the culmination of a great season one. What'd you say? It was episode 41, and that was just that was epic. We had Chris on for the first time. Anthony back, Reggie, Kenny, our man Pete Johnson, just our buddy Dave Lapham. That was epic. I guess that's the best word to describe it.
See this smile? I want to be sleeping with this tonight, baby.
That was epic.
I drank half this bottle of Crown.
Jeez, and good job, Jamie.
Jamie, you were
managing
awesome,
all
man.
that too. So.
Thank you. All I can think about is what the hell are we going to do to end season 2?
So, James, guys, I know everybody watching. We've had hundreds and hundreds of folks online watching right now. So, James, go over what our plans are. So, this was the season finale, and good grief, how are we going to top this? But let me tell you, wait till episode 1 for season 2. We got things in the works for you guys. But James, kind of tell everybody what's going on and what me, you, Tom, and Jamie met about, and what our plans are for the upcoming season and what we're getting ready to do.
Yeah, I think if you look back when we started this, if you would have told us there was 41 episodes in season 1, we'd have been like, yeah, right. So this thing has evolved and taken on a character that none of us ever envisioned. As we said from day one, this is a show by the fans, for the fans. And that's what we try to do each and every week. So without everybody tuning in here, we wouldn't have the show. So we appreciate everybody that's tuned in for 41 episodes. So we are going to take a little break. Hopefully everyone enjoys the Super Bowl. And speaking of the Super Bowl, once again, we want to thank everybody. $2,000 raised for the Anthony Munoz Foundation. We'll drop that check off next week to their office. We talked to Anthony before the show came on air, so we'll make a date next week. We'll take some pictures, share it with you, so everything's on the up and up. But we'll personally drop that off to their charity, $2,000 for the squares. So it'll add a little excitement to the game on Sunday. I think Jamie has a graphic. Hopefully he'll be able to pop it up. But 4 great prizes. We got the Jonah Williams football for the winner of quarter 1. We have the Sam Weish picture.
Hey, James, real quick, that courtesy that the Jonah Williams football is courtesy of Thomas Reedy. Gosh darn, I know he got that from somebody. I'll apologize later for that. And then the second one there, the second quarter is Tony the Tiger and Carrie donated that one for us.
So thank you to those. Tony, as everyone knows, was instrumental when we did the duck races and the jerseys. So thank you to Tony and Carrie for that. That'll be the winner of quarter 2. Quarter 3, we've got the Anthony Munoz football there. And I think Anthony has agreed to personalize that for our winner there for quarter 3. And then the final score, our buddy Hollis Strunk with that custom Joe Mixon figure, one of a kind. So you'll be the only Bengals fan with that to end the game. So again, thank you everybody for that. As we said, it's going to add a little excitement to watching the Super Bowl on Sunday. As always, want to thank our friends at Houday Nation for tuning in and talking about the show as we end the season season 1, as we're saying, and entering season 2. We're going to take some time off. But with that being said, we're going to show clips. We're going to go back to our traditional Sunday night time slot. If you remember way back when, after the draft week, Sunday nights were our traditional nights, 8 p.m. before the season started. So in the off season, we're going to go back to that tradition, which worked well. So starting March 14th, we're going to do a free agency special. So we'll be back Sunday, March 18th, 8 p.m. And leading up to that, the little gap we're going to have now to kind of catch our breath. And Jimmy's done a tremendous job of getting a litany of guests that are just, I mean, the show shows you what we've done, what Jimmy's done all season to get these. So we'll take a little break. What we're going to do is put together some highlight shows. So we'll have a quarterback show they'll have the Kenny Anderson, Jeff Blake highlights. We'll have a defensive line show that'll show Gary Burley and the other gentlemen. We'll have a defensive back, a safety show. We'll have a media clip that we're going to show. So that'll kind of buy the time. We'll show those in our traditional Sunday night at 8 p.m. time slots. And then once again, we'll be back live Sunday, March 14th. Mark your calendar, back live for a free agency show as we kick off the 2021 season. If free agency is anything like it was last year, I think it's going to be exciting. We saw what we did on the defensive side last year. Hopefully we'll have some offensive additions to protect our savior at quarterback, Joe Burrow. And that's that. Tom, you got anything to add to what I said?
No, you guys started this. You've done a phenomenal job. And tonight was incredible. Like you said, and to cut that up and send it to the Hall of Fame for Ken Riley, you know, I think it touched everybody watching, especially the guys. You heard, you know, the emotion in the guy's voice right there. But that was incredible. And yeah, after the Super Bowl, there is a little bit of a sort of a dark shutdown period for the NFL as a whole. But no doubt, as fans, everybody's looking forward to free agency and the draft. And I know Jimmy and all of us have been talking about guests and everybody getting ready for the draft. So even though we'll be dark, I can't wait.
Man, that show was crazy. I just want to apologize to anyone whose comment didn't make it to the screen. I tried to put up as many as I can. It was going fast, man. It was like going through a library card thing. I don't know how to explain it. Behind me, I don't know if we mentioned this or not, but we actually changed the name of the show. So we're no longer Sunday night with Bengal Jim and Friends. We are talking football with Bengal Jim and Friends. That gives us the flexibility to go from Sunday to Tuesday without confusing the hell out of everybody when we kick off season 2. So, yeah, I want to say thanks everyone for watching. We had a lot of fun doing this. You know, as Jim said and James said and Tom said, it's by the fans, for the fans. And if you guys weren't watching, it'd just be the four of us sitting here talking to ourselves, basically. So thanks for everyone supporting. And, Jim, I'll go to you to close, Ben.
Yeah, so I just want to let you know, I'm getting deluged with text messages. I'm not going to be able to catch up, but I do want to pick. So Ken Riley II and his entire family was watching this show, guys. So Ken Riley said that was awesome. That really got me tonight. Man, I can't thank you guys enough. That really means a lot to me and my family. And I can't begin to tell you, I kind of tear up a little bit, man, how hard that family has worked and how much the Hall of Fame has meant to Ken and his family. Here's another comment. Pat McInally, that was so much fun. What wonderful friends and teammates. Thank you guys. Thanks, Bengal Jim and Friends, so much for this. Pete Johnson, another text message. Thank you, Bengal Jim and Friends. You guys do an awesome job. Thanks for drinking Crown, is what he said. There's more in here, and I can't get to them. I'm telling you right now, I can't even keep up with this right now. I'm just going to say in closing here that Tom, James, and Jamie and I have had offline meetings together, and we have got some significant major plans for season 2. What a way to close out the season finale here for us. We would have never guessed this in draft in last year. Here's another one from Matt Mon in Florida. Just wanted to send a quick message. You guys were awesome. This show was very special. You guys are very much appreciated. Again, they're just popping up as I'm closing right now. So season 2, if you thought season one was outstanding, wait till you see what we got planned for season 2. I know Jamie has got some things in works from a format perspective and some other things we're talking about doing. We hope you guys enjoyed the season. I know I had a lot of fun by the fans, for the fans. I really hope you everybody enjoyed reliving that 1981 season or hearing about that 1981 season for the first time. It was fun, and it was just, I had a smile on my face the whole time watching these guys reminisce, Cris showing up, talking about all these things from that 81 season, how special it was to them. And I'm telling you, if you ever lived in Cincinnati during the 81 or 88 Super Bowl season, there's nothing like it. I'm telling you, I love Cincinnati. I love the Reds. The Reds winning World Series. And that's great. There was more passion, more things around Cincinnati football than the city was out of freaking control. Tom and I talk about that quite frequently. June 19th, there'll be more information. I've got to call into the Hall of Fame to see how we go about approaching. But tentatively right now, we have June 19th, which is a Saturday, day after my birthday, James. Don't forget my present. Day after my birthday, June 19th, we're planning on doing a rally, not a picket. We're just going to have a fun time. We're going to go up there. We're going to have giant signs made up. We're going to have pictures of Ken Riley and Ken Anderson and any other Hall of Famer you want to bring, potential Hall of Famer. We're going to have a lot of media there. We will have a boatload of media there for this. So June 19th right now, that's tentative. So make sure you block off that weekend because we're going to go up around noon. We're going to do our half an hour, 45 minutes rally, get the media there, get our comments on that. We're going to put our stuff and our signs back in our cars, and we're going to go in together and have a tour of the Hall of Fame together. And we're going to stay up there in Canton that night, real close to the Fathead Brewery. There's a hotel right there, and we'll have dinner and have some drinks together and come back that Sunday morning. So just lock up.
I hope I can cross by then.
Yeah, so you're not that far, man. You got to make this happen. So June 19th is what we're looking at. But I just want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Our group, there's a lot of work that Jamie and James and Tom and we put into this. It doesn't look like much, but I'm telling you, you'd be shocked how much work that we put into this. And we do it because we love it. We do it because we enjoy this, and we do it for you. And thank you guys, everybody. And I understand the next 4 or 5 weeks before we get back on air, we're going to recap some shows, and we're going to be back on it Sunday night, 8 to 9 o'clock, and we're going to recap some shows there. So we're going to make sure we transition back in the off season to Sunday night football, talking football with Bengal Jim and Friends on Sunday night from 8 to 9 o'clock. Thank you so much for a great first season. Can't wait for next season. Hoo day, guys.
Hoo day. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.